What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having a great day as always. Today is finally the day we are getting the Black Grand Cherokee all ready to drive, ready to hit the trails this coming weekend. So next up, we have to go ahead and wire the fan up to a switch and just bypass the whole relay setup and all the wiring since there's an issue somewhere in there. We have to get some gas for it. And lastly, we have to go for its first test drive in probably 2 years since I blew up the transfer case. So I went ahead and just did it all off camera because it's very simple and not very entertaining, but I have the positive to the switch and then the positive to the battery, all for the fan. And then on the other side of the engine bay, we have the ground to this bolt on the body. And then don't ask me why everything's ran through the fender. I did that like 4 years ago. So we're just going to stick with it. It hasn't failed yet. And then on the inside here, I have the switch. And if we turn this on, it should work the fan. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to hear that, but the fan is turned on, so that should allow us to drive the Jeep and hopefully not overheat anymore. Also, nobody is ever going to be able to steal this Jeep. It's going to blow up 10 minutes down the road because it is labeled LED light bar, and it is 100% necessary to turn that thing on before we start driving. So I've got this thing hooked up to the charger. That way we can add some power into the battery. While it's charging, I'm going to get in the Wrangler and we'll go get some gas for it. Alright, so I went ahead and filled it up with the roto packs. If you guys don't have one of these, I would definitely look into it. These things are really, really helpful. I'm definitely going to have it in one of these two Jeeps once the builds are finished. They're probably the best gas can for taking them off-roading and filling up any of the Jeeps in the driveway. But with that being said, I have the battery still on the power, so let's go ahead and see if this thing will turn on. Alright, took a second, but this thing is on and everything's looking alright. We have fuel pressure, battery looks good. We definitely need gas. I'm going to turn the fan on and let it sit for a little bit and we'll see if it overheats. If not, we'll go for a drive. Also, a really small detail that people might not notice is we took the yellow film off of the headlights and I'm really liking this look a lot better. Clear lenses, black housings. I think it looks great on this black Jeep. Still have to take off some of the leftover stuff, the adhesive on the other headlight. But I think this is a lot better, so comment down below if you like this or the yellow headlights more. I'm definitely going to leave the Wrangler keys here in case we do break down, that way somebody can come get me in the Wrangler. But I do believe we are all good to go, so let's go ahead and hop in the Jeep and take it for its first test drive in many, many years and see how it does. First things first, we got to put all these windows down. Since the exhaust exits right below my seat, I'm not trying to get all those fumes in here. But let's go ahead and see how this thing does. Can't forget the pop-out radio. See if this thing still works. It does somehow. The pinnacle of technology in my 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee right there. It doesn't really look like the display. The display does still work. Get this thing set up later on, but let's see how this thing drives. Alright, so I had to put the windows up so you guys could even sort of hear me, but this thing's driving really, really well, honestly, for sitting for so long. Now the brakes sound a little bad. I'll probably end up replacing those. They're all covered in rust and everything. I'll see if that sorts itself out or if it's something we're gonna have to fix. We do have a few check engine lights, or not check engine lights, just lights in general. I have an airbag light, the ABS light, which is probably due to the cord hanging off the back axle, and then seatbelt light. So none of the safety features are working on this Jeep. You know, normal things for a 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Temperatures are staying good though, oil pressure is good, batteries seems to be sitting good, and honestly it's driving really, really well. This thing's driving better than my Wrangler drives, probably honestly just because it's on a way more mild setup. Now I'm going to hit the gas real quick and let you guys hear that, and it's definitely going to need addressed because I'm not going to deal with this droning sound for the entire time driving it. But let me go and put the windows down and just take a listen. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up on camera, but it sounds terrible. It's just cut off right in front of where the muffler would be. So we're going to have to go ahead and address that and build a custom setup for this, I guess. Shouldn't be too hard. We'll try to figure out something cool for that. But it's also, the only thing I've noticed about this is it's miserably slow. Let me go ahead and stop here and we'll do a 0 to 60 if we can even hit 60 by the end of this road. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. haven't driven a Grand Cherokee in so long that I'm not really sure if that's normal or if this thing just is not running properly. So comment down below if yours is faster than mine. It's the 4.0. So I'm interested to see if this is just normal. It's not really on that big of a tire, so I don't think the gear ratio is really that off in this thing, to be completely honest. But there's definitely a few things we'll have to address before we take this thing on any long trips. And then it also needs a few other things, which I'll go over when we get back to my house. All right, so we made it back, and I am super pleased with how this thing drove. It drove pretty good for sitting for so long. It actually drove better than my Wrangler as far as like handling bumps and all that kind of stuff on the road. So I'm really happy with the outcome of this, and I'll probably be driving this a little bit more often for just small trips to the parts store and stuff like that. Like I was saying though, this thing is going to need a little bit of work before we hit the trails. For starters, it only has the rear drive shaft right now. I'm definitely going to have to throw in this double cardan front drive shaft so that we don't destroy any more drive shafts in this thing. This is actually the drive shaft out of the blue Grand Cherokee that is getting the 1-ton swap. So the reason I took it out is because I only have one of them, and it's going to break if I leave it in this Jeep. This Jeep's just lifted too high, too big of tires, and I expect too much out of it for that drive shaft to last very long. And I don't really feel like getting another one. This one needs custom drive shafts, so that'll be definitely on the list of things to do in the future. But for now, we'll go ahead and install it on the black Grand Cherokee, get it all set up with 4-wheel drive. We're also going to need to clean off these windows. So this might be dumb, but I saw a video online where someone just sprayed the primer right onto the window and it scraped off super easily. It does scrape off, but is not super easy, so I definitely don't recommend taking that route. Tape off all your windows. We already scraped this side off for the most part. I am thinking about adding the Rocky TV logo to this window. Not really sure how it would look, but it's worth trying. I want to put it somewhere on this car. It definitely needs that, so that way it's got the YouTube logo on the side, and it'll just look really cool and a lot better in my opinion. But besides that, I'm super excited to get this thing on the trails. We finally have a winch on this. I think this is the first time I'll ever off-road this Jeep and have a working winch on the Jeep. One small thing that's really going to bug me until I fix it is the windshield though. It's cracked in like 15 different places. It definitely needs a new windshield, but I believe this is actually the original windshield that came in the Jeep, so it's kind of surprising that it lasted this long. And like I was saying earlier, we do have to fix the exhaust as well. It's not as urgent, but I'm going to have to fix it. And as you can see, it's cut off right there, basically next to the transfer case, so it lets all the exhaust fumes in the car. That is the wire I was talking about when I said that's the reason my ABS light was on. Could be completely wrong, but that thing's been dragging for a little while now. So we're going to have to get the drive shaft in. I'm going to have to make sure the winch still works, and we're going to go over some exhaust stuff and see if that's fixable in the meantime before we hit the trails. So I don't know about you guys, but I would say that is a super successful test drive considering the Jeep sat for 2 or 3 years, and then we took it off-roading one time, blew up the transfer case. I brought it back here, fix the transfer case, and then let it sit for at least another 2 years. The Jeep hasn't really moved. All I did was swap some new gas in it, do a little bit of, maintenance, which should have been done way before 204,000 miles anyway, like spark plugs, alternator, water pump, thermostat, just kind of the basic stuff that goes wrong on these 4.0 engines. And mine fortunately lasted 204,000 miles. But I'm super excited to get it on the trails. It's got a brand new set of Rubicon takeoff wheels. I'm not too sure how that lift is going to do. If you guys don't recall, it has the 4-inch zone lift kit. So like a super low end lift kit. It's very budget friendly. So we'll see how it does off-roading. I'll make a video on that. We're definitely going to have to test out its flex and everything like that before we hit the trails. Get that new drive shaft in there, get the windows all cleaned up, and make sure the winch is still working. Because if that isn't working, we're definitely going to be stuck for a while. I plan on only taking the Grand Cherokee and not the Wrangler, so we're going to be stuck if that winch isn't working. I almost guarantee that the Jeep's not going to be able to do everything that I'm going to try to do with it when we hit the trails. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for supporting the channel and all that kind of stuff. We're definitely going to be making a lot more content now that I have 2 Jeeps that are fully functional, and then we have the 1-ton swap that will be taking place now. Then I'll be able to make content with the black Grand Cherokee while the blue one is getting all the swap done. That thing will probably be down for a little while, just getting all the work done, getting the suspension tweaked, the axles tweaked, and all that kind of stuff. So now that we have a working Grand Cherokee plus the Project Grand Cherokee, you'll have 2 times the content. You'll have the build and the off-roading. So I'm super excited for that. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.